All right, we're going to play our board game here with Glenn and Verla and Steve, and the chat crew can jump in.
And by the way, when you say I'm drinking water, is that because I said I'm drinking Michelob?
You said you were going to have some this weekend. I didn't realize you're doing it right now.
Yeah, it's on an IV drip.
Okay, that's it. We're going to play a brand new game as a tradition of this show, of this season. I mean, we just decided that we're just going to play new games every week.
The drip is going right into my mullet.
Okay. Glenn, this one is called the Did You Know game.
Okay.
Know being KNEAUX, of course.
Oh,
Did
okay.
You know? Did you know game? This game is very simple. I've got 6 questions.
All right.
I'm going to ask each of you a question.
Uh-huh.
We'll start with Glenn and then we'll move over.
All right.
You are expected to absolutely know the answer to this question. That is not true. You're probably not going to know this answer.
Okay.
You got to fake it.
Yeah.
Fake it.
Right.
But you know this answer unless you don't know it.
Right.
But I'm going to ask you the question. You give us the answer.
Like every job interview I've ever been on.
Exactly. This is a job interview. Yeah. So what kind of cat would you say you are if you got this job? That's what this thing is. 6 questions. They relate to our game tonight. And so when I start with Glenn, Glenn's going to give his answer. And then Steve and Verla, you got to decide. Are you going to go with Glenn's answer? If you're right, and Glenn gave you the right answer, you get 2 points. If you say, I don't think Glenn's right, and you say no, and you're right about that, you get 1 point. So more points if you go with Glenn.
Yeah.
Less points if you don't.
Okay.
Chat crew, you can play along. We're going to see who can score the most points.
All right. If I were a cat, by the way, I would be roadkill.
A calico?
That's the side of the...
Oh, dear.
A roadkill. I'm going to have to ask my vet about that flavor of cat, the roadkill cat.
Yeah, it's a breed that I specialize in. Go ahead.
The Did You Know game. Are we familiar with the rules? Do we feel like we have them all down, Steve?
Does Glenn get points if he could convince us to go with his answer?
Well, there's six questions, and each of you are going to get 2 questions. Okay.
Oh, we all are gonna have to come up with stuff.
Yep, you got it. I'm going to give you the question.
I am an encyclopedia of.
Okay.
Chris says stealing that. If I were a cat, I'd be roadkill. Okay. Question number 1.
No plagiarism, Chris. No plagiarism.
So we're going to go, Steve. We're going to go this way. I'm going to ask Glenn, then I'm going to ask Steve a question, then Verla, and then we'll reverse draft it. So Verla, you'll be you'll have 2 questions in a row. Okay. So first question, Glenn, did you know that Ireland and Louisiana are actually 2 different areas of the world? Yet they do share some connections. But first, and we're going to talk about those tonight. But first, Glenn, which one is bigger in terms of actual area? Which one is bigger? Ireland or Louisiana? And chat crew, you can think of your answer too.
Well, as you might know, I am Irish, 50%. Glenn Martin Brennan of Flaherty, and with the anglicized O because they didn't know how to put the accent on top. Typical Anglo destruction. But it's an interesting question, and one that I've actually investigated for. So because my father actually was a big supporter of having united Ireland. There's the North Ireland, the South Ireland. So when you say Ireland, if you talk to the people in the South, this is Ireland that's been partitioned. But if you talk to the people in the North, they're like, no, we're Britain, and you are Ireland. We are, so it depends on which one. I can tell you
that the Republic of Ireland.
The Republic of Ireland.
That's on its own.
Excluding the 6 counties.
Yes. But if you're talking about that, which I know a lot about, like its religion, its political leanings, its size, its main crops, we can also talk about potatoes. When I met my family, my in-laws for the first time, they didn't know anything about me or my culture. And they were really scrapping hard to say something. And my brother-in-law was just there like eating. And like the light bulb went over his head. He said, hey, do you like potatoes? I was like, yes, I do. Now we are bonded.
Connection.
But the Republic is smaller.
Oh, so Glenn says Ireland smaller than Louisiana. Steve,
yeah, it is because I was going to go down anyway with Mardi Gras. Go ahead.
Your answer, Steve.
I do agree with him.
You agree. Verla, up to you.
Glenn's right.
Glenn's right. Okay. And the answer is Ireland is 1.6 times smaller than Louisiana. So congratulations. That is 2 points for Steve, 2 points for Verla. Chat crew, keep track of your numbers. So if you, as you play along with us.
And since we now know that I was right, we will all just agree that I know what I'm talking about.
He does. He knows what he's talking about. So remember that when he gets his next question. Glenn's never wrong, at least according to this game.
According to the 20 I slipped you earlier, I'm never wrong.
Let's see if Steve is also never wrong. Steve, question number 2.
Okay.
Did you know that Ireland and Louisiana are 2 different areas in the world? It's
I
true.
had heard this.
But what about in terms of people? Which one is bigger in terms of population, Ireland or Louisiana?
Well, that's interesting. You look at the island of Ireland, and you'll probably see that there are smaller villages. There are some cities, but I think with the population density, given that it's larger space to begin with, but also cities of greater density, including New Orleans, I would definitely have to say that Louisiana has a higher population than the entire Republic of Ireland.
Oh, Glenn and Verla, are you convinced? Steve says, chat crew, what do you think? Louisiana, you say Louisiana is larger than Ireland. Correct?
Yes, because Belfast is in the north.
Okay, got it. Verla, you're up this time.
I'm gonna go with Steve.
She's with Steve. The self-proclaimed Irish expert, Glenn.
Going well, BJ. I agree with Steve as well, because Ireland actually leads as one of the leading countries in shrinking population in the country.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the population of Louisiana is roughly about 4.5 million people. But unfortunately for you two, about 741,632 more people live in Ireland.
Steve, you are a failure. You have let me down.
So that is no points for Verla or Glenn.
Glenn doing an impression of my parents will not earn you any respect on this game.
Chris went with Louisiana too. Sorry about that. And of course, these are from mylifeelsewhere.com. So I'm sure these are totally accurate.
Sure, it's totally valid.
The Irish population isn't actually larger. It's just that when they're drunk, they see double.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That is true. That is why
the Irish do take up
that is
we Irish do take up some space. There's the social space that they take up as well.
Yeah. It's the potatoes.
Question number 3.
All right.
Verla, did you know that Ireland and Louisiana are 2 different areas on the globe?
Are they?
Okay. So here's Chris says your logic is flawless, by the way, Glenn.
Thank you.
We totally agree. Both Cajun music and Irish music are known for their use of fiddles. Steve will tell you that, right? Reels versus a 2-step, of course. But I'm going to throw out a famous fiddler, and you tell me, was that fiddler Cajun or Irish? So it's a binary choice. Just got 2 choices.
Okay.
And hopefully the names will give you the clues, right? I mean, you think of Louisiana, you think of funny names, right? You think of Ireland, you think of totally names. I mean, Steve, I'm not a Cylon. You know that. I play things straight in every game we play.
You are utterly trustworthy in every way.
So the first one, Boris Connor, Conner. Irish or Cajun? Famous fiddler. Boris Connor. What's that?
Are you just giving me one?
You only have one.
Okay.
Boris Connor. Conner.
How do you spell the first name? Is it V like Verla?
Varise. I mean, a typical spelling, right? Boris Connor.
Yeah.
Boris Connor. Didn't they help save the world from the robots?
Right.
I'm pretty sure
John Connor's relative.
Yeah. I'm going to have to say he's Cajun.
Chris is going Cajun. Verla's going Cajun. Let's go with Steve. Steve?
I know the answer.
I am going to agree with Cajun because I'm thinking Connor would either be 1 or 2 N's, but it would be OR rather than ER for Irish. So I'm going to say Cajun.
Okay.
Well, Connor started out as Irish, who then settled Scotland and then was brought by England forcefully, resettled, and again the name was anglicized. So the actual heritage is Irish. That's the correct answer. You don't have to check. Just give me the points.
Well, I like where Glenn was going. About 5 or 6 generations before, his ancestors did grow up in Ireland, but they moved in the late 1700s, early 1800s to Louisiana, and Voris Connor spoke French and was as Cajun as they come, even though he did have an Irish last name. So his heritage is Ireland.
I'm going to have a review. I'm going to get the Olympic Commission here.
I think you submitted it 4 seconds too late.
4 seconds
I
too late.
know.
Sorry for that. Yep.
Olympics.
Okay, so who gets the points there?
I will get 2 points.
Yeah,
Verla said Cajun, but the person who gives the answer gets no points. They have to earn it by agreeing with somebody else.
That's right.
So I have
or going the other way and just getting 1
or
point.
going the other way, but they would only win the 1 if
that's
they're right that way. Got it.
Back to Verla for another question.
Back to
Are we
me.
ready?
Okay.
Did you know
All right.
that Louisiana and Ireland are separate sections on the map? And if you did, I've got a fiddler for you, another fiddler,
Joke is
a name for
very
you,
good.
Martin Hayes. Is Martin Hayes Cajun or Irish?
Definitely Irish.
No spellings? You don't want to know any spellings? No?
No. I just know. Deep down in my heart.
She knows.
All right. Up to you, Glenn. Is Martin
Martin.
Hayes Irish or Cajun?
Martin, as Irish a name as you're going to get. Glenn Martin, right in front of you, home slice. Don't be pulling none of that 300 years ago shenanigans with me.
Chris says Irish. Verla says Irish. Glenn says Irish. Steve, where are you going? You could steal a point.
I'm gonna strategorate and not try to steal a point, but play defense. I'm gonna agree. Also, I'm going to say Irish because I do agree with Chris that BJ might do the flim flam, but not necessarily twice in a row. I'm going to agree and say Irish.
Well, I'm disappointed because Martin Hayes is one of the most famous of all Irish fiddlers. He was definitely Irish, and I thought I could fool you guys on that one. There are some Martins that are Cajun, so
your fooling is as good as your jokes.
Not even close. Not even close. The last fiddler for you goes to Steve. Steve?
Oh, geez.
You ready for the last fiddler?
Another fiddler, yep.
Dennis McGee.
Dennis
McGee Cajun or Irish?
You spell McGee.
I'm giving you a hint. I'm giving you his name, Dennis McGee. You should be able to tell right away from that name, right?
Are you saying Denis McGee?
Dennis McGee. MC Big G EE. Dennis McGee.
It is Mick, not Mac. Okay. All right. All right. Here's the Cajun flip here, and this has nothing to do with knowing Dennis, but it has to do with, I think, knowing BJ. I think this is going to be your Cajun fiddler here. I'm saying Cajun.
Evan said it's into Indian food. It's McGee. Okay. All right. So Steve says Cajun.
It's a clarified reel. Yeah.
Steve says Cajun. Chris says ain't no Dennises in Ireland.
Oh, my father is though.
That was a great ghee pool, by the way, on the clarified.
That was good.
Yep.
Jared says even if it's wrong, I'm pretty sure Steve is still right. I like that one. Okay, so enough stalling. Glenn, you got to go. Dennis
He is
McGee.
Scottish in origin, but you're going to say he's Cajun. You're going to steal it from me, just like you did with my potato crops. Continue.
So wait, you can't go both ways. Which one? You got to commit to one or the other.
Cajun. I'll say Cajun.
Okay. Verla?
Cajun.
Really?
Raging Cajun.
This is your chance to get a point on Steve. On Stephen.
And if I'm wrong, that's the thing.
Wrong. I don't know.
Might have to play defense on some of this.
Yeah, you know what? I changed mine. I'm going to say Irish.
Okay.
Let's do the long ball. Let's do the Hail Mary.
Sticking with my
Final answer.
Final answer.
Dennis McGee is one of the oldest and best known Cajun musicians. Yes, it is true. About 5 or 6 generations ago, his family moved from Ireland to Louisiana, but Dennis McGee spoke French. And there's a funny story about Dennis McGee. He met up with I think it was a New York Times reporter. I'm going to botch this story because I don't know it exactly, but the Times reporter was like, "Your name is McGee." "Yes, Dennis McGee. And you speak French?" And he didn't speak a lot of English. He spoke a little, but he didn't speak a lot. And he's like, "Well, of course," he said, "McGee's a Cajun name."
Nah.
Because he had only heard McGee's speak French. So McGee's and Manuel's and Connor's, to those people, they were actually French because that's all they heard.
That's all they
It's
knew.
a tough call because these are really tough ones because you come down from Canada, you come down from Cape Breton, you're talking about coming over from Scotland and Ireland and then a hop, skip, and a jump down to.
And neither
Canada.
Connor nor McGee came the traditional route through Acadia and Nova Scotia. These are guys that came down over in the 1870, 1880. That after the 1848 issues, they came down. Their families came down to make a new life. So interesting. Last question. Question number 6. This is a chance. Steve, you want to give us the wrap up on the points? See how close we are.
So far, Verla has 4, Glenn has 2.
Whatever.
And I have 6.
Okay, here we go. It's between.
Oh wait, you want to change the ruling for the last
this
one?
one's for 1,000 points. Yes.
For 1,000 points, and if Glenn can fake us out, he gets 2,000 points.
If Glenn can fake you out, he gets 2,000 points. I love that.
Fair.
I love that. All right, here we go. Question number 4. Question number 6. Speaking of music, Glenn was a music teacher. Maybe still is. I'm not sure, Glenn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one knows.
As a music teacher, not even Glenn knows. Not even Glenn's wife knows. As a music teacher, Glenn knows that a fiddle is tuned E-A-D-G, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's very true, except if you're a Cajun musician. So, Glenn, what is the tuning, generally speaking, on a Cajun fiddle? And if you can get the first string, that's the most important. You don't have to get the rest of them. But if you can get that first string, of course, I'll be impressed.
It's actually reverse fifths, but on a Cajun instrument, it's more standardized. So it's E-A-D-G, like on a guitar. And then the other instruments go E-B-G-A. So it's going to be E-B-G-A.
E-B-G-A. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why the B is off there is so that you can still hit everything as you go up.
Sure. Got it. Like that open tuning. I like it. E-A-D-G-B, says Evan. E-A-G. What did you say? E-A?
E-B-G-A.
E-B-G-A. E-B-G-A. Let me write that down so I won't mess it up. All right. The Gumbo Overlord's going to go last, Steve. I'm sorry. I'm going to put pressure on you here. E-B-G-A.
That's what Glenn said. Only the first letter mattered?
Well, Glenn knows his stuff with me. I should have known that. He knew right away. It's E-B-G-A.
Evan is faking me out with CBGBs here. That's a little different.
Is that the LA nightclub? Is that what he said?
No, it's New York downtown. That was
New York.
Down in the Bowery. I actually played it once. I played it just before it closed.
CBG.
Yeah.
That and a place called Don Hills. Good times.
Okay.
You might have seen Steve at Don Hills.
You're going to put... All right.
I think Steve's stalling. It's definitely not South by Southwest. E-A-D-G.
No, E-B-G-A, he said.
Sorry, E-A-D-G is what a standard fiddle is. And he said, nope, for Cajuns, it's E-B-G-A.
Right.
Yeah. I am going to agree with him, and I'm going to explain my logic because I have no idea, but he said it.
I'm ready to
you asked him to say it again, and I had already forgotten what he said, and he said the same letters in the same order. So it's he stuck an answer and then repeated it twice.
And Glenn, I wasn't trying to fool you because that is a common trick where you ask somebody the same thing and they come up with a different answer. I had just forgotten to write it down, and you did say the same one twice for a while.
He did.
So you're saying Glenn is correct.
That feels knowledgeable.
B-A-D-G.
Evan's just throwing letters. Evan's throwing element of P next.
Right. You beat him to it. Verla.
Yeah, he has me sold on it. Glenn's got it.
Glenn. Yeah. Glenn says E-A-D-G. No.
He said
E-B-G-A. Because that's what Cajuns use. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's what he said.
Well, a little background. Most accordion players use a C accordion. Mm-hmm. So it's easier if they tune down to make sure that the open string on the fiddle is C, and that way they can just bounce that open string as the accordion is playing.
As a drone.
So that means they tune down to a D, G, C, F to get that third main string on the form into an open.
Wow, this room is full of suckers.
Wow.
Of course, Zydeco fiddlers tune down even more to B flat open string because they use the B flat accordion for Zydeco music. So
I play accordion, and I have two. The piano one I can play fine.
Sure.
That button accordion blows my brain apart.
Yeah,
man,
diatonic.
I cannot wrap my head around that one at all.
It's like playing a harmonica a little bit because it's diatonic. It's one, it's in, out, in, out. It's very tough though. I can play a piano or accordion.
Oh, great.
I am not very good. I can play like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That's about it.
Yeah.
On the diatonic accordion. So that means that Verla, the Gumbo Overlord, no wait.
So here's what happens.
Glenn got
Verla
2,000
has
points.
4, I have 6, and Glenn has 2,002.
Wow. That's how you do it.
Yep.
Gotta let the guests win.
Well, just like my mom always said, bring it up the rear. That's what I do.
2,002 points. That is
way to come through. Thanks, team.
We used to say that when we would go to the track and watch horse racing, and they would make the call that the horse in last place was not in last, but they would say and Munchkin can see them all. So it's a kind of nice way of saying he's got everything in front of him. We're looking forward to it.
Hey, chat crew, post in here how many points you got. I'm curious because we saw some wrong answers in there. I am curious how to do it. But that's our, what did I call this one? Did you know? Game. And that's sponsored by our friends at Game Toppers LLC. Don't forget, make your game nights a showstopper when you play on a Game Topper. You missed out on the Game Toppers LLC Kickstarter, but you can still late pledge, and they got tons of game mats, tons of all the new stuff on there. Make sure you check it out. Devin says he's got 3,002 points. You're missing the X. You're missing the X. Sorry, that is not correct. Make your game nights a showstopper when you play on a Game Topper. All right, board gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. We planned this for months, and I think we pulled it off fantastically. Thanks to our friend Glenn Flaherty. Glenn, Board Games of Bourbon, the Euro Board Gamers, Grand Gamers Guild. How can people, the myriad of ways, what's the best way if they want to get in touch with you about the show?
First, I just want to say thanks for having me back. It's always fun. I really do appreciate this, and it's always a good time, especially
you make it easy, man.
I do what I can. But you can find me at Board Games and Bourbon on Twitter or X and Facebook and YouTube. And when I'm not drawing with my 4-year-old, I try to make video reviews. My new video that's going to go up is Salton Sea. So look out for that one.
To talk about it. I really want to hear because it's on my unplayed shelf right here. I'm looking at it right here.
We have a lot of time. Right? Don't worry about it. What's that?
I'm telling BJ I sent you that, right?
Yeah, I was. It came from you, Verla. It's sitting right here. I want to play it. I just haven't got a chance to play it yet. So.
Talk about gifts and giving people things. I don't know if I ever told you this. Back when I was doing music, I wrote a music book. It was kind of like theory and about more than music, but the whole thing about performing and about being in front of people. Verla, like you gifted BJ a game. There's a mom who attended the store, and I wanted to gift her a copy. She had been a wonderful supporter of the store for so long. And I said, hey, I want to give you this book. It's for you. And she said, thank you so much, because I have this wobbly table.
Well, check out Tier Nog. It's on Kickstarter right now. It's already funded, and there's a lot of cool stuff you can get it. Make sure you check that Kickstarter out.
Join it because the pledge manager is going to have more fun stuff, and we're going to do reveals throughout it. So just join just so you can talk and hang out too.
Yeah. Hey, just back it for $1. Hang around, and when that big thing comes out, you're just going to want to hit the back button.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Check that out again. And Nick, of course, it's Jimmy C. Newman, the pride of Mamou, Louisiana. Big Mamou, good old Mamou. It's definitely Jimmy C. Although I love Dr. John, Jimmy C. Newman all the way. All right, board gamers. Make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo, and our YouTube channel. It helps us get the word out about all of our upcoming shows. We're on hiatus as I travel. Next week, we're on summer break. But when we get back, you can catch us on twitch.tv/BoardGameGumbo every other Tuesday night where we play your games live on Twitch. It's tough to make a good nog without eggs. But they done it. They made a great nog. Check out that Kickstarter. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. And for Glenn and for Steve and for Verla, until next time, laissez le bon temps rouler.
See you, friends.
Saya.